So we have a Twitter-like app, but no user following, unfollowing system in place. So let's build it. The first thing I'm going to do is to create two endpoints and two page components for the followers and following pages. We'll add a bit of styling and then focus on how we can store and query who follows who. Let's add our followings route. So I'll go username, followings, and use a new controller, user followings, with the index method. And of course we need to create this controller and import it in our web file. Let's add the index method, which will receive the user via route model binding, and for now just return an inertia rendered component with followings as an empty array and profile, which will contain the user. Okay, let's write up the followings component. To do that, I will grab a copy of the user profile page. So I'll make a new file called followings and remove pretty much everything inside it. Still keep the profile and the followings. It will be an array. Remove the data, mounted and methods. Let's go and check our route. So I'll have Travolta/followings. And we already have an error. Cannot find the module followings. Followings. Let's restart our Webpack. Go back and refresh. And here it is. Okay, let's change the title to just the username. And let's try and build up this part right here with the followers and following. So I'll go here, add another div. I'll flex it and have an inertia link, which will be followers and then following. Let me copy some styling. Okay, and here. Let's see how it looks. Okay, not that good. We need to make this a flex column. And no longer item center and justify between. Okay, but we still need to remove the padding around these two elements. So I'll grab this and put this into a wrapper. Okay, that's better. Let's do the same for the followers. So I'll go to web and add a new route with a new controller. And let's create a controller. And of course import it. And let's grab this whole index method because it will be very similar, and put it here. Only that now will render a followers component. Let's import this user class and return followers. And of course the component will be just the same. check it. Okay, looks the same. Normally I recommend delaying extracting new components, but this looks like a really good candidate. So let's extract the following header. So we'll grab this, go to components, create a new component called following header, template, script, export default props, and we need to receive profile. And I think that's it. If we go here, we can use it, following. And we need to send the profile. And of course import the component, profile, header, come on, insert import, okay. And we can do the same for the followings. So we'll grab this one, replace it, import the new component, following header. And if we refresh, it will still look the same, which it does. So followers, followings, yeah, looks pretty much the same. Let's also add the links. So we'll go to following header and add the correct links. I'll need a dynamic property for slash profile username slash followers, and we'll need pretty much the same route except followers, which will be followings. Go back and refresh, followers, followings. And we also need to somehow show an active state for these links. Luckily, I've already written a blog post about this. Something like this. Yep. This solution is a mixin that makes use of Ziggy. So I go to app.js, paste in this mixin, and we now have an isRoute method here we can use. So we can add some new styling. isRoute index, and the same for this one, isRoute followings. But of course we need to name the routes, so we'll go to web and make sure we name these two routes. And followers index. And let me just grab the styling for these two. This one and this one. Now if we refresh, we have this active state. Okay, let's go and create the following stuff. So we'll need a database table where we can store the followings, who follows who. So let's create that table. PHP artisan make migration create following table. Let's open our migration file and add two more columns. Table unsigned big integer for follower ID and another one for followed ID. The next step is to add the relationships on our user model. So we'll have public function followers and followings. So for the followings, we'll have a belongs to many relationship. This belongs user class through the following table, where I am the follower, so follower ID, and the other user is the followed ID, and with timestamps, because we have created that and updated that on a pivot table. For the followers, it will be the exact same relationship, but the keys will be reversed. So this one will be the followed, and the other one will be the follower. Let's create some seeds to see if we got it right, but I assume we did. Let's open our database seeder and create some followings and followers. So I'll grab the user A and the relationship, followings, attach, and here we'll create some new users. And plug the ID. Let's say 20. Do the same for the followers. So we'll have 20 followings and 20 followers. And the same for the B user. And if we migrate and see the database, we get an error, undefined followings, followings. And of course the same for this one. Okay, let's take a look at the database. We have the following table, and of course it's populated. Let's go back to our controller and return the followers and the followings. So this user followers paginate, and for the followings we'll return followings. All we have to do now is loop through the followings, and luckily I already have some template code in my clipboard, so we are just looping through the followings. Display their profile photo, username, and name with the profile link. I go here, we need to set this as an object because now it's a paginated object, and we need to do the same for the followers. So followers, and also make this into an object. If we go back and refresh, we have our users. And followers not working because data of undefined followers. If you go to followers, oh, we need followers. Refresh, and it's working. So we have our followers and the following accounts. The next thing we need to do is to create the endpoints to follow and unfollow an account. So we'll go to web and add two more routes. One will be post to following/ID, and this route will be called when we want to follow a particular profile or user, and we'll call the store method. And the other one will be delete, so delete requests for the same URL, and we'll call the destroy method. Let's add them. So I'll have public function store receive the user and the ID, and this will basically attach a new record to our followings relationship and redirect back. And the other one, destroy, will detach the ID and redirect back. What we want to do now is to determine whether the current user follows a particular user from the list. The reason for that is so we can know if we should display a follow button or a following button. To do that, we can go to our user followers controller and see if the current user is part of those users' followers. We can do that with count and say followers as following function query, and then return query where follower ID is the currently authenticated user. So this will basically check if the currently authenticated user is part of the followers for these users. And we'll cast this into a boolean with casts following to boolean. So now we know if we follow a specific user. If we go back and refresh our followers and check our view DevTools, if we go to props, followers, data, we now have an additional following property. Okay, so let's do the same for the following. We'll grab this, go to followings, and now that we have this information, we can render the two buttons, the following and unfollowing button. We'll start with followers, add a new button here. It won't be a button, but an actual inertial link displayed as a button. So we have inertial link as button, method post, and this will be our follow button. And the link will be slash this page username slash followings slash user.id. Let's check if it works and refresh. And we have cannot read property page of undefined. Now we need to do page and props and username. Refresh again, and here is our follow button. Click it, go to network. Yeah, that seems to be working. Let's also add the unfollow button. This will be here and will be following actually, because this button will only be visible if the user is following that particular user. So we have the if user following, and here we have the reverse. So if I'm not following, I can follow it. Refresh, and we have following, follow. Let's also add some styling to these buttons. So I'm gonna copy them. So we have this one for the following, and this one for the follow. Refresh, and now we have a following button and a follow one. And the reason the page jumps is because we also need to add preserve scroll to keep the scrolling. Refresh, and now it works. Let's move this to the following as well. So we'll grab these two buttons, or better yet, we can create another component. Let's do following. We can paste in our two buttons. And we need to take user as a prop. And we can use it here, following, and pass in the user. Of course, we need to import it. Let's see if it's working. Following. Go back here, and we still have the buttons, although I'm not unfollowing. So we are posting, we need to send in a delete request. So when following, we need, where's method? Oh, I need to check the following button. We have post for the follow, and we need delete for the following. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, let's also add these buttons to the followings. So we'll grab this, go to the followings, put it here, import the component, refresh, go to following. We have now the button here, and I can unfollow the users. And on the followers, you can do the same thing. And that was it. That's how you can build a following unfollowing system with Laravel and Inertia. Bye.